Welcome to the latest episode of Chad Sports Hockey Zone. My name's Chad. Take a dive on sports. And first of all, I have to apologize for the delayedness of this video. I wanted to do one earlier this week. Unfortunately, family issues have kept me off of provided my insight and latest news and updates. This is a very personal type of issue that I'm experiencing. And just kind of bear with me as my videos will probably decrease a little bit for probably the foreseeable future until the situation clears up. It's not affecting me personally, but it's one of my family members, and it's difficult for me to really place in the words as of yet. But with that being said, thank you for tuning in once again. Thank you for everyone who's watched my videos, have subscribed to my channel. I appreciate everyone's help in this time frame, and I hope for our continued success in the future. So, with that being said, to get a little sad spot out of the way, talk about some recent NFL news. As you know, last week, Tyreek Hill got traded to the Miami Dolphins for a first, second, and fourth round pick in this year's draft, to include a fourth and sixth in 2023. This came to a huge shock to the NFL world. And then he signed a huge contract with Miami, which I think the Chiefs knew that he wanted that big of a contract, and they knew they couldn't afford him, especially with the amount of money they already tied up in Patrick Mahomes. It was more of a business decision than anything else. They would love to keep Tyreek Hill there because he creates that deep threat to leave Travis Kelce open in the middle for him to drop the passes. Leave him open in the middle. So it'll be interesting to see how they proceed from here, because once they got rid of Tyreek Hill, then they start adding other pieces, or they were adding other pieces anyway, because they already added Juju. Now you're getting rid of an A+ receiver for a B+ receiver, and then you sign a couple other B receivers, possibly C receivers, to kind of create this wide receiver core by committee type of approach. But with their high draft pick, they could be looking at replacements in the draft. This is another highly wide receiver heavy draft once again. Maybe you're looking forward to that Jamar Chase in this class. Who knows? There's many different options they can probably go with, but saying that they're going to draft the replacement for Tyreek Hill is far stretch, pretty much like Green Bay's drafting will draft Devontae Adams replacement. Green Bay and Kansas City just kind of let their 2 star receivers go via trades to get draft capital, so they're looking at finding ways to make, and they both signed their quarterbacks to long deals for lots of money. They have to go rookie receivers to get them on the cheap, or get number 2 guys on the cheap. So this is the position they're at, and I think actually puts Kansas City a step behind of repeating as divisional champions. I still think they're talented enough to make the playoffs, but that loaded AFC West is now a more convoluted mess than ever was before. And then recently, Bruce Arians, the head coach of Tampa Bay Buccaneers, has decided to step down. He's like, you know what? We got Brady back. We got signed Goodwin to a good contract. Pretty much a lot of the key pieces of the Super Bowl run is there. Just a few defensive pieces kind of missing, but I think we can find, they could come back to us because they can't find the deals they want. I feel confident. You got things away. 70 plus year old man. He already has he kind of retired before because of health issues. So I think him stepping away at a particular point in his career where he's already sitting pretty high, he's got the team going the right direction. He's not leaving the Buccaneers organization. He's stepping away as a head coach, moving up to the front office. And he handed the reins over to Todd Boyles, who has tenure as a head coach with the New York Jets. been a long time assistant with Bruce Arians. He spent time in Arizona together, now in Tampa Bay. And Brady knows Boyles pretty well, works with him. And one of the things I kind of find interesting that between Bruce Arians and Todd Bowles is their coaching style. Bruce Arians is pretty much rough around the edges, but he gets the best out of his players. Todd Bowles is more of the Bill Belichick mold, more accountability, more discipline. I think Bruce Arians is, even though Bruce Arians is up there as well. And this is something that Tom Brady thrived under in New England, and something that he struggled with in his early part in Tampa Bay until things started clicking, and then they made that magical run to win the Super Bowl. But they took him a little while to get there. But he's more used to that Todd Bowles type of functionality in the NFL to thrive, and he's used, as they like people like to say, quote unquote, the Patriot way. So I think it's just a fascinating aspect that this happened. I think he's now the fourth black head coach right now in the NFL. Tampa Bay organization themselves has hired more African American coaches than any other NFL franchise. So I think in terms of diversity and opportunities for everyone, I think Tampa Bay is showing the what needs to be done with the rest of the league. It's just a matter of time for the rest of the league to follow suit. But that is the discussion for another time. And there's a Todd Bowles hiring, because he didn't sign a 5-year extension with him, by the way. So he's not going anywhere unless he totally tanks. But what does that do with Brian Flores' lawsuit? I think that still moves forward, because there are other extreme circumstances out there, and I think a lot of NFL owners need to get Will Smith. The most recent change that they decided to do during their owners meeting down there in Florida was the playoff overtime rule. And this came out as the huge cry of the public about how the Chiefs were able to win their playoff game against the Bills because they won a coin toss. And the game should be decided by the coin toss. So the NFL has decided for the playoffs that each team was guaranteed one possession. I'm on the boat of cry me a bloody river. It is a team sport, and if your defense can't stop an offense, oh well. The Bills had the opportunity to put away the Chiefs at the end of that game. 13 seconds. 13 seconds they had in that fourth quarter, and the Bills defense couldn't stop Kansas City for sending the game to overtime. And then when Kansas City took the coin toss, they went and drove down the field because the Bills couldn't stop it. The Bills defense couldn't stop it. The Bills defense ran out of the gas. Both defenses ran out of the gas, to tell you the truth. But the next week in the AFC Championship game, same thing happened again. The game went to overtime. Chiefs won the toss. And people were going, oh, here we go again. And guess what happened? The Bengals defense showed up, intercepted, and helped send the Bengals to the Super Bowl. And then I look back at the other playoff games that happened that went to overtime, and the two that come to my mind that I did not really hear anything come out of saying that this is not fair is 2 times the New England Patriots went into overtime to win a game. The Super Bowl against the Falcons. They made a historic comeback. I mean, Atlanta had them dead to rights. It just all of a sudden the game flipped. The defense couldn't stop anything. New England receivers were making phenomenal catches. I mean, millimeters off the ground, and they're still making those catches. I mean, it was unreal. Falcons defense just couldn't do anything. Falcons offense couldn't produce anymore. And the Patriots came back and won the first possession, overtime, drove down, scored a touchdown, win Super Bowl. AFC Championship game between the Patriots and the Chiefs. Exact same thing. New England marched down the field on the first possession, scored a touchdown, game over. The outcry was nowhere near as loud as when Mahomes did it to the Bills. And so now the NFL is adhering to a small percentage of the NFL fans and deciding to institute a one possession each in the overtime. And people are going, oh, it's fair now. Somebody's going to bitch about it anyways. I'm just glad they didn't do a NCAA style playoff system. That system is horrible. Because one, it takes away the special teams play altogether in the overtime, and that could really, change a lot of things. But for me, I think that, the NCAA as well as the NHL needs to bring back the ties. That's just my personal opinion. And then you have your overtime rules in place for postseason games where they continue going on until someone wins. That's just my personal opinion on that matter, and I might do a video in the future over that. But then a lot of people like to compare the overtime rules compared to baseball. Why? You're comparing apples and oranges. These are two different sports altogether. Different rules altogether. Different setup altogether. And it makes no sense. And then they try to throw in hockey, and that's another sport that's completely different. As you all know, baseball, they do an extra inning, so it gives each team, 3 outs per, determine if not to continue on. And if the road team gets that that one run across the plate in the top of the 10th, gets a chance for the home team to either tie it to continue on with the extra innings or win it. And there are people who are like, well, if the road team hits a home run, they don't call the game then. It's like, no, that's how baseball's set up. If you don't know what the hell you talk about, don't mention flipping baseball as a reason to give both teams a chance. In terms of hockey, they're like, well, a coin flip doesn't call it. It's a skill for the face-off. Yeah, goalie still has to make a play. A defender still has to be on there. Somebody actually pointed out there, I think on Twitter, that both offense and defense are on the field. Yes and no. Because you look at hockey, you don't have separate players that do offense and defense. You play the same position both sides, depending on what side of the ice you're on. But your goalie still has to perform and stop a puck. You still have to, check up on the players with the puck, challenge them to, not to make the play towards the net or not contest the shot they're doing out there on the point. And NHL overtime games are done in mere seconds. We do hear hockey fans complain about it. They might complain more about the shootout, but that's about it. For me, I rather see like a 10-minute overtime period, 4-on-4. If it ends in tie after 10, so be it. That's just me. But, they want clear-cut winners, and they find some, convoluted way to kind of justify their rankings afterwards. But anyways, when you're on basketball, they play a full, they play a time overtime, and if that's still tied after that, they continue another one. But, trying to compare the different sports into football overtime rules, I think, is a misguided attempt, I think. Like I said, that's just my opinion, but you can't really, it's comparing apples and oranges, really it is. It's just completely different styles of sports to compare that aspect. And if you're not part of the people that say, defenses win games, then you won't, cry foul when, one team just marches down the field, gets a touchdown in of overtime. I like the idea Really, I do, of each team getting it. But for me, and I would say that for the overtime rule is if you opposing team scores a field goal that first possession, then yes, the other team gets a shot to match or exceed it. Or if the one team has a kickoff return for a touchdown, the other team still gets possession. So it's not ending on a one-play drive, per se. I mean, it can still end in one play anyways with a deep ball to a receiver. He runs for 80 yards for a touchdown. Well, at least there's a kick ahead of time. But that's the only way I think there should be a second possession for a touchdown. Because, if your defenses can hold an offense to 3 points, that gives your offense a chance to score because your defense did their part. They kept them out of the end zone. That's the whole thing. But, like I said, that's just my opinion, and I think anyone who tries to compare overtime rules for football with any other sports, they just don't know what the hell we're talking about. Like I said, it's completely different sports altogether. And I know I'm ranting and raving, saying the exact same thing over and over again, but it boggles my mind, really, on how this is. Swagoo said this on Get Up a few days ago. It's just, this new rule is just emotions. That's all it is. And I completely agree. It's just, I think it's a dumb rule that hopefully does not stay. But I have a feeling that this will transpire into the regular season as well. And pretty soon they will start adapting it in NCAA style until someone wins. I don't know. It's just weird to me. I think it is. But with that being said, I know I ranted and rated it over this one a bit longer than I really anticipated. And that's what happens. You kind of go off script. Or you don't have any script at all. You just kind of, shooting off the hips. That's how I run these episodes. I don't do a script. I just kind of go. It's like, here's the idea. Go. And I already had this conversation in my head a long time. And that's, I understand that's a sign someone's crazy. But I answer myself questions, I'll answer them and argue with myself and lose. So just let you know my sanity levels. But anyways, yeah. So as you know, Tyreek Hill making the change, moving from Kansas City to Miami. Miami's going all chips in right now for Tua for this year. So this is Tua's last shot. Otherwise, they're going to get rid of him and bring someone else. And then Bergeron stepping down, handing over the reins to Todd Boyles. I think it's a good move for Tampa Bay. It's kind of a win-win for everyone involved. So let's see all that. And then the overtime rule changes for the postseason. Myself, I find that completely idiotic and not thinking clearly. But when does the NFL think clearly? Really, I mean, they come with some really dumb rules. But anyways, that's for this episode of Chat Sports Talk. I thank you for taking the time to listen to me ramble and provide a little insight and provide my 2 cents, however much that's really worth. I appreciate everyone's continued support. Like I said before, it really helps. It helps me to let me know that there's enough people out there that kind of like the rantings of an old man when it comes to this. So down in the comments below, please let me know what you think, especially that overtime rule. That's going to probably generate the most buzz, I think. What does this do with Kansas City's playoff chances and or Super Bowl chances? This is Elevate Miami. When you're down there, make a comment. Make sure you please press that thumbs up for me, especially like the content I provide. It really helps this channel out. Pleases YouTube gods. You can also share with your friends and family. It also helps with the promotion of this. And you can also hit that subscribe button. Once you hit that subscribe button, you hit that bell notification. Let you know next time I post a video. And I will see you next time on Chat Sports Talk.